This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
Hello and welcome to NBA G League Takeover. Mike Davis here with CJ Watson here at the Den, Fox 5 Studios. Our Gianna Hearn, our G League insider, is not with us today because she is in Florida covering the NBA G League Winner Showcase. Killian Hayes, so a guy like this who's drafted before Tyrese Halliburton, he's drafted before, Tyrese Maxey, guys who are now faces of the league. Is he considered a bust at this point, or do you think Killian Hayes can work around and become a sufficient NBA player?
I think he's still young enough that he can be, have a long NBA career. I think he was just put in a bad situation. Maybe he was kind of scouted wrong, maybe because he was overseas or whatever. But like you said, just coming in, being drafted before Halliburton and Maxey, those are two great players right now, two max guys and two franchise players, and he's now in the G League, which is probably tough for him to swallow. But he definitely, I think this game right here just showed the brightness of him and what he has to do to still work on it to get back to the NBA.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly tough for me to swallow. These allergies have gotten me down in the dumps right now. But let me ask you that. I mean, from a mental standpoint, knowing that you're seventh overall draft pick and you have these other guys who are on max deals, how defeating is that? How do you, from a mental standpoint, how do you prepare yourself so you can get in, day out, and be a productive guy?
You just got to know that, your journey is your journey. You can't really compare yourself to anyone else. You just got to go in there and just continue to work and do the best you can in the opportunity you're given, because everyone's not given the same opportunity. I mean, Maxey played from day one, and I think Hayes kind of played a little bit, then started, and then went to the bench. So It was kind of more mental for him, I feel like.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Isaac Jones with the Stockton Kings, a two-way player, 6'9" power forward from Washington State. Had an interesting college journey, bounced around a few different schools. But now this guy just exploded with perhaps the dunk of the year, a poster that just a thing of beauty, frankly. And he also had 31 points, 15 boards. This is a guy, an undersized big man, I guess, at 6'9". He's got a little bit of that Kenneth Faried kind of thing. What's a ceiling like for a guy like this? I mean, clearly he's a beast on the boards. He loves getting those, he's a great inside scoring kind of guy. What do you think he can do at the next level?
I think, just like you said, Kenneth Faried, he brings that different type of energy. He's a big rebounder. I think that in today's game, you got to be able to shoot the ball if you want to be a big and stay on the floor. So you can't just be a rebounder, back in the day like Dennis Rodman or something like that. So you got to be able to score, and I think that's what he's showing right now in the G League.
Okay, Isaac Jones, perhaps the dunk of the year with the Stockton Kings. We got to see what he can do at the second level. This guy's a two-way player, so it's going to be exciting to see what he's got going on in his future. Well, you all know him as Rip Hamilton, Richard Rip Hamilton, three-time NBA All-Star, NBA champion, most outstanding player in the Final Four when he won that chip with UConn. This dude is the mid-range master. He's the best at moving without the ball, and I got to sit down and talk a little bit with Rip Hamilton ahead of the NBA Cup. Let's hear what he had to say. Great to see you, man. I mean, success at every level, from high school to UConn, one shining moment. You got a championship there, Final Four player, most outstanding player. Basketball. And I mean, listen, we're going to break down the NBA Cup because this new in-season concept, a lot of stuff going on. But you were the master of the mid-range jumper, something we don't see in the NBA so much anymore. Moving without the ball, moving with through screens. Tell us how you really developed that trademark to your game and why that's missing from today's NBA.
Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me. You know what? When I started studying the game as a young kid, I used to watch the great talent before me, the John Havliceks of the world, the Michael Jordans, guys that really would dominate the game, especially at the mid-range, getting mid-range shots. And the thing that I was lucky and blessed, I got an opportunity to play with Michael Jordan. So I remember one day in practice where I was guarding him. He took two hard dribbles to the middle of the paint and pulled up. And I couldn't get to his shot. And he was like, Rip, add that to your game. That's the hardest play in the game to guard. And I knew that when I was young, but nobody really believed it. I didn't really believe it myself until the greatest of all time actually told me to keep adding that new wrinkle into my game because I had a lot of success at, like you said, coming off screens, and I was trying to find different spots on the floor to make the game easy for me.
Right, and tell us about this. Would players have taken to this concept all those years ago, and is it a good thing to implement in-season tournaments, NBA Cups like this for the NBA?
I would say yes. I mean, when you look at the NBA, I mean, you got some of the most competitive dudes in the world, and we're competitive at everything.
And these guys are playing for not a trophy, but the winner gets over $500,000 per player. The loser tonight gets over $200,000 per player.
And that's big because, again, I can remember when playing in the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, and we knew the longer we played, the more money we would get if we end up winning the championships and bonuses. And for us, it was for, you know, the money that we will get an opportunity to make, we would give that down to the training staff, the equipment guys, the assistant coaches. One of, like, our 5th or 6th assistants on the team, with the money that we made during the playoff run, he got an opportunity to buy his grandmama home. So it's a lot more into it than just the $500,000 people think that it's actually going to the players. So I think it's big, it's huge. I mean, guys are super competitive. When you watch it right now, and I mean, guys are active. We got some of the best players in our game in the finals with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Shea. So I think it's something that's going to be here for a long time, and players are super competitive. They want to win everything.
I mean, you inspired me, Rip, as a young child. You were my dude. You, AI, and Kobe. I mimicked your free throw routine.
No way.
Get up.
Okay, let me see if you got it.
Let's do this together. Here we go. Ready?
Let me see if you got it.
You had a great one. I was doing this in JCC basketball league.
Okay.
You got to see
Did you shoot 90 from the free throw line?
It was beautiful. Here, this is what you did.
Okay,
Ready?
go ahead. I'm going to follow your lead. See if you got it.
First thing you did.
Tell me.
You got your knees. You want to use your knees at that free throw line.
A lot of times kids don't want to use their knees.
You went down.
Yeah, get low.
Okay, and then
you
come up and you do that.
Okay, gotcha.
Then.
Take a deep breath.
Then you do this a couple times, but the side dribble.
You know why I did the side dribble?
Why?
Remind me to use my legs. Most kids don't use their legs. But go ahead, finish. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay, so here we go. Ready? Full.
Okay, boom. Okay, boom. Boom.
Boom. There you go.
Cash money?
Rip,
90%?
Thank you so much. Guys, coming up after a short break, we got more NBA G League Takeover right after these words.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
All right, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. We're talking now in the NBA, guys who played a little bit in the G and now are killing it at the NBA level. We're going to start with a guy we're very familiar with here in Las Vegas, Ron Holland. Played with the NBA G League Ignite last season. I mean, CJ, this was a guy coming out of high school. I mean, he could have gone anywhere. A lot of people were projecting him as a #1 overall pick. Now he's with the Detroit Pistons. He had a tremendous game the other night against the reigning champion Boston Celtics. He had a career high off the bench, 26 points in 20 minutes, shooting 79% from the floor. I mean, Ron Holland, this was a guy who had a great energy, great defensive prowess, but it was really his scoring and his shot that were the question marks coming into the NBA. What did you see from him in this rookie season, in this game, that's giving you some positive thoughts?
I think just being aggressive. I think, when you're playing against great talent and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you got to step your game up, and you always want to play good when you're playing against the reigning champ. So I definitely think that's what kind of inspired this game from him. And these are all flashes that we've seen last year in the G League. But like you said, his shooting is probably the #1 thing that people kind of question mark. But I think that's probably going to get better, like I said, just over time and more reps and just having that confidence.
What was the #1 thing you saw last season that perhaps dropped his NBA draft stock a little bit? Why he wasn't that top 3 overall pick? What was it that execs saw during his time with the Ignite?
I think for me personally, it was like a little bit of defense and just the lack of focus. I think being focused day in and day out, people don't understand how focused you have to be to go through an 82-game season, but also the playoffs and stuff like that if you want to go deep in the playoffs. So I think just this lack of focus, maybe attention to detail.
Okay, interesting. When you watch him play, who does he remind you of? Because he's very tweenish. Because it's hard to see him as a 1, a 2, or 3. Like, where does he kind of sit for you?
I say like a 2 or a 3. Obviously a wing player, but a player who can make plays and obviously create for others. I don't really see him as like a point forward, but more just like I would say, let me see. I don't know. It's a good question. I got to think about it.
Yeah, it's hard because that in my mind, like I'm usually pretty good at making some pro comps to players.
I would say like a Grant Hill, maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Maybe
Grant
too
Hill.
high. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, it's
somewhere
interesting.
around there.
Yeah, I think that's a good comp. It's hard. I mean, that's what's so hard is like some of these guys. It's kind of like even if you're a product and you're trying to get your product into a supermarket, the supermarket wants to know like, okay, you're like an Oreo or you like what do you like? You know, so it's hard to do that stuff. But especially for a guy like him in 20 minutes to get 26 points, that's great. Do you think you play up to your competition when you're playing the defending champs? Do you have a little bit more juice in you?
For sure, yeah, you definitely do. You definitely want to kind of prove to them that you're, especially as a rookie, that you're here to stay, and you're going to keep, giving them a challenge every time they see you every night on that schedule.
All right. Well, we're wishing Ron the best of luck. Now let's talk about another guy now in the NBA. Definitely played a little bit in the G League, actually, with the South Bay Lakers. Some people call him Moritz Wagner. I call him Mo Wagner. Listen, we all remember what he did at Michigan in college. He's originally from Germany, Berlin, but he's been playing well. He's averaging 13.3 points per game this season. And facing the Knicks just a few games ago, this dude played a pretty incredible game. He was guarded by Karl Anthony Towns the entire game pretty much, and he scored a career-high 32 points. Obviously, he's not his brother, Franz, who's, a tremendous elite level player in the NBA. But what Mo Wagner is doing is pretty impressive for, I think, he's a low first-round draft pick. I think a lot of people coming into the league from Michigan didn't know if his game was going to translate to the NBA level. What have you seen from him that's so impressive? I
think for him, it's just his energy level. I think that's the thing that separates him and all the other people on his team. I definitely think when Paulo went down, everyone needs to step up, and Mo is definitely carrying that torch with his brother by keeping the magic alive. So he's definitely doing a great job. And also I think the international play last summer also helped, giving him more confidence and just being more offensively efficient.
Yeah, from the Magic perspective, I mean, what they're doing, it's interesting to see what they've built. Obviously, when Banchero comes back, that's going to be a major plus for them. Are they real true competitors, you think?
I think so. You still got a more leeway to give them, but I think when they get the full team and healthy, we'll see, where they truly stand, at the top 2 or 3 in the East.
Okay, all right. It's interesting to see. It's always cool to have that brother duo going on as well. That's a great thing for the NBA. I know we always talk about Bronny and LeBron, but to get the brother situation going, it's very cool. Coming up real quickly after a short break, we got more NBA G League to break down. We're going to be going to an interesting version of the break. We got the first episode of the break, obviously narrated by Shaq, so we gave you a little bit of that last time. We're going to be going into that. Plus, a little later on in the show, it's the holiday season. We got to talk a little bit about some of these funky G League jerseys we're seeing. Even one of them few of them might have some, threads that might be comparable to Elf and Will Ferrell. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. That's all coming up after a short break.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
All right, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. Now we got a special gift for you. Maybe not Santa Claus worthy, but it is a good gift. We got the season premiere of The Break.
It's the season opener, and both teams are ready to start a new season here in 2024-25. Let's take a look at our starters.
It's no secret, Mexico City, they want an NBA franchise there. And so fans are showing out because they're saying, look, we can handle an NBA team here.
G League is pretty high caliber. More than half the players on the NBA rosters at the end of last season had G League experience.
Don't go anywhere. Basketball right now.
The G League season is off to the races, and we're here to document it all. First up, we have Mac McClung. By now, you know the name and the accolades. The G's reigning MVP and back-to-back NBA slam dunk champ. Mac finds himself on a two-way contract with the Orlando Magic. Next, we'll head to Mexico City, home of the Capitanes, to follow Dink Pate. After playing one season with the G League Ignite, he's looking to prove to the NBA that he's worth the draft pick in June. And then we've got the Memphis Hustle rookie, Armando Bacot. No stranger to the bright lights as a March Madness standout, Armando is ready for action this season and hopes to turn some magic on the court into a call-up to the NBA. This is Season 3 of The Break, presented by The General.
Oh, well, Dink was a member of Ignite. He was a high-level recruit from the program. When I heard about him, I immediately looked at the video, saw a young kid with a lot of potential, a lot of energy, reminded me of one of my favorite players growing up, Penny Hardaway. And then we were able to get him, you get to know the kid. His personality is just contagious, fun guy, competitive, tough. And when you see that at such a young age, you're like, wow.
I was 16 years old. I was 16 years old. My plan was just to go pro from high school because I seen LeBron do it. I never really fed into it too much. Even like with me being the history maker with the youngest pro in USA, whatever my accolade is, I never really fed into it. Like, I'm one of the last ones with Ignite, so that's my history. That's what I take to my heart. So for me being the last player and they closed it down, it's a lot of people that's like, dang, you know, but I love Ignite. I still mess with my Ignite family, call, chop it up with them, but you know, that's in the past and I ain't got no regrets.
Well, I'd say last year, he was playing with house money. He knew he had another year, so he was able to kind of play a little free. And so with that, he was able to showcase his change of pace, his athleticism. It was all about development. We're trying to win right here, right now, trying to bring a championship here to Mexico City, trying to win the Showcase Cup. And so the attention to detail, the room for error is very slim.
You know, Mexico City, I feel like it was the best opportunity for me. Honestly, from what I was told, I could have got a waiver to go to college. But you know, me, like I started this for a reason. I already played a year in the G. Why go backwards and not play your second year in the G? But not even that, I came here for the culture too. You come to a city like this and you put on for their city and you represent it well, they're gonna love you for the rest of your life. I feel like we're taking it game by game and we want to go 1-0 every time. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Let's just get up one. Just day by day, and we slowly building.
Yeah, so like before every game, I'll put my legs in the air for 20 minutes. It's called lactic drain. I always stand up and like your legs go numb, but it's like new blood cells and I feel a lot more fresh. So my dad had me doing it at a young age, so I started doing that. And it starts out with reading. The book I was reading was called Beyond Thoughts. And yeah, it just has like little poetry in it. I want to sit with whatever I just read, you know what I mean? If I read like a paragraph, like that day I just want to sit with that paragraph and kind of live that day through that paragraph, you know? One of the pages I read today said, and they keep asking me where happiness can be found, but I'm no longer trying to find happiness. I just appreciate where I am and then happiness finds me. Just good like little reminders. Yeah, I mean, life is good. It's hard. Do I feel like I want more all the time? Yeah, but I think you know, the constant story here is enjoy becoming. Like each year I'm trying to become more and better. So it's like, if I don't enjoy that, you know, I feel like I'm missing the main picture here. So that's the biggest thing, just joy this year, really.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
All right, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. We're wishing you a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas. We're going to be doing for G of the Week. It's actually fascinating, CJ. We're going to be talking about some G League teams that are wearing some funky uniforms, some funky threads. And listen, part of playing good is you want to look good, you feel good, then you play good, right?
Yeah.
So some G League teams, I'm talking about the Grand Rapids Gold, the Austin Spurs, and yes, the Cleveland Charge are all wearing some uniforms in the holiday season that are reminiscent of Buddy the Elf. We all remember Will Ferrell's iconic holiday character. I mean, CJ, when I'm looking at some of these uniforms, it's hard to be rough and tough when you look like Buddy the Elf out there on the floor, right?
Yeah, it's hard to do anything when you look like these guys, but I definitely love the Christmas spirit, but I'm not sure. I would be interested to see what's their win-loss record with these jerseys on, because it looks pretty bad.
I mean, it does. And when you show up in, like, when you're in the locker room and you go to your locker and you see, okay, that's the jersey I'm rocking today. Like, what goes through your head?
They're probably like, I don't. Why are we here? You know, like, who did this? Who designed these things? Like, we need a refund.
I mean, some of them are pretty crazy. And listen, we all love the holiday spirit, the Christmas spirit, but I mean, this is basketball still. We got to make sure we're looking rough and tough. We got a Moni Bates in one of those too. That guy had a very interesting high school, college career. See what he does at this next level. But there you go. Interesting uniforms. What was the best you've ever worn again?
The Bulls.
Probably the Bulls.
St. Patty's Day green jersey. Pretty cool.
The green and the green. All right, guys. Well, CJ, we're wishing you a Merry Christmas. We're wishing you all at home a Merry Christmas. There you have it, guys. We'll be back next week with more NBA G League Takeover.